Have you ever had something in the palm of your hands? Something so close, so real, that you could almost taste it, only for it to vanish in seconds? That's what WWE's Money in the Bank is all about. One briefcase, one shot at the championship, one golden opportunity to rewrite your destiny. But what happens when that chance slips through your fingers? What happens when you lose everything you thought you were about to gain? Well, for some WWE superstars, it led to frustration. For others, to complete madness. Today, we're diving into the stories of 10 WWE superstars who absolutely lost it after losing Money in the Bank mentally, emotionally, and in some cases, professionally. And trust me, this isn't just about failed cash-ins. It's about the fallout, the chaos that followed. Let's start with someone who seemed untouchable, John Cena. In 2012, Cena won the Money in the Bank briefcase, and the world expected him to cash in and win like always. But this time, he didn't. He cashed in on the 1000th episode of Monday Night Raw against CM Punk, and he lost. It was the first time in history that someone cashed in and failed. For Cena, it wasn't just a loss, it was humiliation. The golden boy of WWE finally fell short on a big stage, and while he put on a brave face, you could tell it affected him. After that, Cena began wrestling with more aggression. The playful hustle, loyalty, respect guy started cutting edgier promos, working stiffer matches, and showing flashes of frustration. That loss didn't break him, but it changed him. Now let's talk about Damian Sandow, a man who many fans believed was going to be the next breakout star. He was intelligent, charismatic, and unique. In 2013, Sandow won the briefcase and had everything going his way. And then, he cashed in on John Cena, and he lost. The match was amazing, but the result crushed him. He wasn't just defeated, he was buried. After that, Sandow slowly slipped into irrelevance. He started dressing up as random characters Magneto, LeBron James, even Vince McMahon. It was like WWE didn't know what to do with him anymore. And Sandow? He tried to stay relevant, but you could see it in his eyes. The pain of what could have been. He was once the intellectual savior of the masses. After losing MITB, he became a joke. That loss didn't just stall his momentum, it sent him spiraling. Then there's Baron Corbin, the lone wolf, who was finally breaking into the main event scene in 2017. Corbin was ruthless, intimidating, and rising fast. He won the briefcase and fans were bracing for impact. But when he cashed in on Jinder Mahal of all people, it was a disaster. Corbin got distracted mid-match and lost in less than a minute. And from that moment on, something changed in him. He became visibly bitter on screen, started picking fights he couldn't win, and his confidence was shattered. Instead of walking around like the alpha he once was, Corbin became desperate for relevance. It was like the briefcase had cursed him. He went from being a feared loner to a depressed authority figure in a suit. That Money in the Bank loss broke his momentum, and it broke something inside of him too. And we have to talk about Mr. Kennedy. This one's heartbreaking. In 2007, Kennedy won the briefcase and was being groomed as the next top guy. He was charismatic, explosive in the ring, and he had that it factor. But then, injury struck. Rumors spread that he wouldn't be able to cash in on time, so WWE had him drop the briefcase to Edge. The worst part? The injury wasn't even that serious. It turned out he could have kept the case. But the damage was done. Kennedy never got that big push again. He looked defeated. He wrestled like he was trying to prove himself all over again, but the spark had faded. That loss changed his entire career. He went from future main eventer to what could have been. And you could tell it haunted him. Then came Otis, the lovable, goofy powerhouse who shockingly won the briefcase in 2020. It was during the pandemic and fans were desperate for something lighthearted. Otis gave us that. But WWE had no long-term plan. They didn't believe in him as a champion. So instead, they took the briefcase from him and gave it to The Miz. Just like that. No cash-in. No redemption. Otis didn't even get a shot. And after that, his character took a dark turn. He became serious, angry, even joined Alpha Academy and turned heel. That happy-go-lucky guy we all rooted for, gone. The briefcase gave him hope and WWE took it away. And that broke something in Otis. You could see it in the way he walked, talked, wrestled. He lost more than a briefcase, he lost the magic. Now Carmella's story is different but no less intense. In 2017, she won the first ever women's Money in the Bank match. Except she didn't. James Ellsworth climbed the ladder and handed her the briefcase. Fans were furious. WWE had to redo the match a week later and Carmella won again, but the damage was done. From that moment on, Carmella was obsessed with proving she was legitimate. Her promos got more aggressive. Her attitude became arrogant and defensive. She clung to that briefcase like it was the only thing that gave her worth. Even after cashing in successfully, she constantly tried to validate herself to the fans. That paranoia, that need to prove herself, it consumed her. Rob Van Dam is a name that often gets overlooked when we talk about MITB. He cashed in successfully on John Cena and became WWE Champion in 2006. But the pressure of being the guy seemed to rattle him. Not long after, he lost both the WWE and ECW titles within a matter of days. Then came the infamous arrest with Sabu. It felt like RVD wasn't ready for the spotlight. He started to appear more unfocused, less passionate, and eventually faded from the main event scene. He won, sure, but that win brought pressure, and that pressure cracked him. And then there's Braun Strowman, the monster among men. In 2018, he won the briefcase and promised to cash in like a man no sneak attacks. He chose a Hell in a Cell match against Roman Reigns, and it ended in a no contest thanks to Brock Lesnar's interference. Fans were furious. And Braun? He lost his aura. The monster who once flipped ambulances and broke rings suddenly looked weak, vulnerable, and confused. His promos became repetitive. His matches lost intensity. That failed cash-in didn't just stop his title, it completely derailed his character. He was never the same monster again. Now let's talk about Alexa Bliss. Yes, she cashed in successfully, but her story didn't end there. After that, she entered one of the most psychologically twisted arcs in WWE history. She got entangled with Bray Wyatt and transformed into a darker, more unstable version of herself. She was no longer just a sassy heel, she became something disturbed. Her obsession with control, with power, it all felt like an extension of that night she cashed in. It was like success had triggered something deeper inside her. The confidence turned to madness, and the fans, they couldn't look away. Finally, there's Seth Rollins. Now I know what you're thinking. Seth had arguably the greatest MITB moment in history when he cashed in at WrestleMania 31, but that moment came with a cost. Seth became obsessed with staying on top. Paranoia crept in. He aligned with the authority, betrayed his brothers in the Shield, and became a man who would lie, cheat, and manipulate just to keep his throne. He wasn't mad in the traditional sense, but he was consumed. That briefcase didn't just give Seth a title, it transformed him into someone willing to destroy friendships, reputations, and himself, just to hold on to that power. So there you have it. 10 stories. 10 superstars. 10 different ways the Money in the Bank briefcase messed with their heads, their hearts, and in some cases, their careers. Because the truth is, MITB isn't just a ladder match. It's a psychological warfare. A game of hope and heartbreak. And for some superstars, losing it wasn't just a bad night, it was the moment everything started to unravel. Which of these meltdowns hit you the hardest? Was there someone who deserved better? Or someone who just couldn't handle the pressure? Let me know in the comments, and if you've ever been one step away from your dream and had it ripped away, just know, you're not alone. Even superstars break sometimes.